It's your boy Concert Viz 34, and today I want to start a new weekly segment called This Week in Concerts. I hope you guys will watch it. If not, maybe I'll can it. But I just want to give an overall feeling of different things that I'm seeing in the world of live concerts, and also a random rant at the end because that's what I do. I rant about random stuff and get myself sidetracked off topic. Thank you guys who like, subscribe, and have supported my page so far. I know I'm not many people that watch this, but to me, even if 5 or 6 people are watching it, it's worth it for me to record things like this. I love interacting with all of you music and fans that may be sports fans that see my Twitter. Again, my Twitter is at ConcertViz34. But I have a couple topics that I want to talk about for this week in concerts. The first is going to be Billy Joel 100. Billy Joel did his 100th show at Madison Square Garden. It's a 100th sellout there, and that's the most for any specific venue by any artist to have 100 sellouts at one venue in the world. So it's a historic achievement, and I want to salute Billy Joel. You are amazing, and I've been to two of these shows, and both shows were amazing. One on the floor, one behind the stage. Really cool to be behind the stage, to have the elevation but be right at the stage, especially these arena shows where a lot of the seats that are actually in seats and not on the flat floor are either in a corner or they're, you're far away. But this is something I suggest you go see. It's worth traveling to Madison Square Garden. Now, Billy tours the country, but those shows, no offense, are not even close. The seats are trash if you're not on the field, or if you're not in a nice portion of the arena, because he does a lot of ballparks. But going to Madison Square Garden, you're going to Billy's home, and he's grew up on was born in Long Island, but Manhattan is pretty much it's Billy Joel. Okay, so even though you're just a little bit of ways away from his birthplace and his where he lives, it's there's nothing like seeing Billy Joel at Madison Square Garden. Nothing, as far as anything Billy Joel based. I highly suggest it. Plan a vacation, plan a quick weekend trip, drive up. It's worth a 6, 7, 8 hour trip. It's worth a flight in to enjoy New York City and see Billy Joel. He does it every month. And it's nice because we don't get these residencies out here on the East Coast for this amount of time. Sometimes we get a band that comes in, a Radiohead pulls up to MSG, a Fish pulls up to MSG, and they do, shows for a week, shows for a couple of weeks, and that's it. But Vegas, obviously they have these residencies going for months and years. Nice to have this here. Crazy because Bruce Springsteen comes up, does 10th Avenue and Born to Run. What a crazy surprise to have jerseys, Pride and Joy meet the king of pianos in New York, which is Billy Joel. So a nice surprise to have him. And you got a bunch of songs. They played Vienna, which is probably one of my favorite Billy Joel songs, the most appropriate for my life right now. The one complaint I would say is the crowd chose "Don't Ask Me Why" instead of "All for Lena." "All for Lena" is criminally underrated. It is an amazing Billy Joel song from Glass Houses. But salute to Billy Joel. Again, I highly suggest it. Even if you're just a fan that knows the hits, go see Billy Joel in New York City. It's better than a musical. I don't care about freaking what's that called? Hamilton. Don't forget Hamilton, okay? Go to Billy Joel, and actually the tickets will be cheaper to see Billy Joel than to see Hamilton, okay? This is more about American history. Seeing Billy Joel in concert, you will literally get a flashback to New York City, Long Island in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. And that is more critical than anything that Hamilton shows. I'm just half kidding, but I'm serious. Go see Billy Joel. So that's Billy Joel 100. Next thing I want to talk about here is Nikki Hendrix. This is a tour that is something that I've noticed from Live Nation Ticketmaster, and they are betting the house on a couple different things, and they really don't care about the fan, they care about the revenue. So what is Nikki Hendrix? This is in the world of hip hop. Nicki Minaj, a famous hip hop rapper based out of Queens, and Future, aka Future Vandross, aka Future Hendrix. Um, Those are his nicknames because for mumble rappers, he is the Jimi Hendrix or Luther Vandross for them. But essentially, these are two artists that have, in the last 10 years, established themselves from, they're older, they bloomed late, but they've had some radio hits, they've had millions of albums sold, and they're touring together. But what does this have to do with Live Nation? Well, this is yet another show where you're going to see a bunch of seats sit unpurchased until closer to event time. Now, they're going to fill up this venue. They're going to comp these tickets. They're going to lower the prices. I don't know if this is true, but I wouldn't be surprised if they put them on StubHub. If they don't sell, it's a couple of weeks before the show, a week before a show, you start seeing these tickets be put on. I don't know if the box office does that. I don't want to claim conspiracy, especially because I know StubHub was in my neck of the woods, and I have a lot of knowledge of how that works. So I'm not saying they're selling tickets on StubHub. I would never make that accusation, but somehow these seats get sold when it comes concert time and it's full. They're not going to have Nicki and in Future have an empty venue. But what you're seeing is right now, they're playing a scalper, but they're playing scalper in a bad way because they're testing the waters, and you have VIP tickets that are $200, $250, $300, $400, $500, $600, depending on where you are. I had a tweet that I just put up about 20 minutes ago, and it was showing an example of this in my home state of Connecticut. You have upper level seats in an 11,000 seat venue that are $200 for Nicki Minaj and Future Vandross. Okay, this is not Aerosmith. This is not U2, which they just played at Mohegan. This is freaking Nicki Minaj and Future Vandross. And while they have lit music to work out to, they are not top-notch performers. I have seen Nicki Minaj at a various radio show. She's aight. She's crazy on stage. She's animated. She's aight. And Future Vandross, he is aight. All right, he doesn't have a lot of personality. He gets people lit, but he's a mumble rapper. He's kind of low-key petty. So again, I don't think it's worth the money, and neither do the fans, because you'll see seats sitting. Why is this a bad thing? Because what this is doing is, instead of having these tickets even be bought by brokers or even be purchased by fans at lower prices, they're essentially holding these tickets. Hey, you can buy them right now, but you're going to pay a lot of money. Some of these tickets are VIP. Some of these are preferred seating. Some of these are just average general admission prices. Some of them are priced fairly well. I looked at the Boston show. You got some club level seats for $117. The club level is a premium experience. I've been there 3 or 4 times for hockey games. They're leather seats like movie theater. Those are reasonably priced, but people don't even want those seats, okay? So I just don't like this, because what Live Nation is doing is they're saying, you know what? For the popular events, we are going to overprice the market and make a lot of money and raise those prices higher and sell them. We don't want a scalper to make the money. We want to make the money. Okay. And I have things about that. I'll let it slide. But then what they do is, you know what? We have these artists that, you know what? We may have overshot their popularity, but we're going to keep these as VIP tickets for 5-6 months until closer to the show. Then once it gets to showtime, as Swizzy says, Swiss Beats, you know, once it comes closer to showtime, the tickets go to face value. The tickets get dropped at lower prices on Ticketmaster. You know what? Maybe these tickets are given to family and friends of employees at a lower price or at a free price. That is not good, because the market was overshot with popularity. And what's interesting about this, taking a step aside from concerts, both of these artists had amazing runs going back to last year where they kind of stalled off. Nicki Minaj has not released an album in years, and Future released a double album last year. That was his last real mark. But since then, they've really cooled off. They have fan bases, especially Nicki. Do not mess with her fans. They will literally hunt you down. And I hope they don't hunt me down. But the Nicki Minaj fans, they buy her album. She goes platinum. But when it comes to coast touring, people do not care about it. But I just think it's an issue, because these, yet another example of artists, and this has been going on for the last couple of years with Ticketmaster, they've tried to expand to a larger venue, and with that larger venue, they have all these unsold seats at ridiculous prices. So Nicki, who's done arena tours, now is dealing with empty seats, and she has a co-headliner who is probably one of the biggest co-headliners she's ever been on tour with, outside of maybe Drake. So we see all this hype. We see these two big superstar artists that no one wants to pay that amount of money to see them just talk on a mic because they don't have stage presence. They're not great live performers. And hopefully this keeps happening, and I hope these tickets go unsold, and I hope that these things, because this happens and this fails, that Ticketmaster does change its tune, that the artists change their tune about how they promote, because a lot of these seats are VIP seats. They throw in a T-shirt, a hologram that costs them like 50 cents to make. You get a hologram lanyard, and you get VIP concierge, which means someone comes up to your seat so you can buy a $30 beer. I don't like how Ticketmaster is forcing not just 5 or 6 seats, but literally entire portions of the venue are VIP that are in the mid-level and upper level of a venue. You're getting VIP. Mohegan Sun Arena in Hartford, where they're playing, they have VIP packages in the upper deck. It's a very close upper deck, but that's ridiculous. So I really hope this continues, that these seats don't sell, and I hope that it leads to some changes. But who knows? Ticketmaster lost the lawsuit. They gave away free tickets last year, and now they're charging extra fees this year and making seats platinum seats to make their money back. It's really sad, but hey, that's how business works. Hopefully, as fans, we can call the BS and not buy these future Nicki Minaj seats. And if we like something that's popular and is fairly priced, we buy them. Because there are a lot of great deals on Ticketmaster, a lot of great artists I've seen on Ticketmaster and Ticketfly at smaller venues that are affordable priced, they're fairly priced, and I go to those shows. So that's all I have for Nikki Hendrix. The next thing I want to talk about a little bit is the Dave Matthews Band interview. I will have my DMB recap this weekend, but what I want to talk about today is an NPR interview. He talks about a lot of stuff, but he finally gets to the root of talking about Boyd. He's strategically avoided this conversation, and I don't knock him for doing that. I would rather have him do it right when he feels he's comfortable enough to announce it, versus doing it right away or thinking right at the PR announcement that Boyd wasn't with the band that he has to defend himself. No, I like how, look, they made the call. They've continued to move on, and now he feels comfortable. He's collected his thoughts, and he goes on NPR. And he talks about a lot of stuff here about Boyd. One of the key quotes has to do with how Boyd was musically, he wasn't right. And the quote says, "In this band, I want everything you have. I want every bit of musicality you have. That's what I demand from everyone." Boyd has not been able to bring that for a long time, and for that reason, he had to go and take care of himself. Now, allegations aside, this is something that I noticed on stage in 2016. 2016, the whole chemistry of the band was out of whack. Boyd has not been himself for a while. He's had issues that were physical and mental, and you can see that in his playing. And people, oh my gosh, I can't believe Boyd's gone. And look, it was a shock that they announced it after tickets are on sale. But Boyd has had issues on stage. He's looked sad on stage, and I think he needs to get the help to help himself and let him. We need to see what these allegations bring in a court of law or wherever it's going to be settled. So I'm glad that he addressed this, because this is apparent in their music. We'll talk about it more later this week. But you can tell Boyd is gone. There's a weight lifted off the band, and they're killing it. There's no violin, boo-hoo. They haven't found a replacement, boo-hoo. But really, I think what happened, this is just my conjecture. I think that they knew Boyd wasn't himself. They thought, hey, he needs to take a little bit of a break, a year off. Okay. They decide to say, you know what, he's going to take a year off. The same day tickets go on sale, Boyd has served his lawsuit alleging sexual misconduct. So the same day tickets go on sale, now they have a lawsuit. Now the band's like, look, innocent till proven guilty, you need to take a break. But look, you got to go and you got to handle this stuff. If you're innocent, you're innocent. But we can't have you in the band anymore for like pretty much like short term or long term. And I think that's why there was not a search for a violinist. They thought Boyd was going to take a year off earlier in the year, and then allegations come, there's text, there's some evidence. You got to wait for it to play out. But look, for now, Temper, you're out. Come back when you feel better, and depending on these allegations, we'll decide if you're really going to be a member. But I really think he's kicked out of the band. But you can't knock the band. Look, I think it's bad timing, but the lawsuit was served, or the papers were served the same day that the tickets go on sale. So it's kind of a tough call, but they were going to probably make an announcement he's taking time off, but now look, it's probably permanent. We don't have time to get a violinist, blah, blah, blah. But that's just my little take on that. Um, Now I want to go into a random rant, and then this will be it, because wow, I'm hitting 15 minutes. My random rant has to do with venues, because just like I like concerts, I love sporting events. Mine has to, today I'm going to talk about baseball and expansion in Major League Baseball. And also this idea of Montreal being this great new city to expand to. I think it's laughable that baseball wants to expand. The only reason they will do this is for TV money, TV revenue, and expansion fees. I am a baseball fan of the New York Yankees. I don't watch that many. Actually, I don't even watch that many games anymore. I listen on the radio. I track the stats because yes, had an issue with Comcast. And anyway, I just don't think cable is worth to watch all these baseball games. I catch them at the bar. I catch them on the weekends on Fox, and that's about it. And if I'm at a friend's house, I'll catch it there. But anyway, my point is, I go to baseball games every year. I go to Fenway every year for Yankees, Red Sox. Baseball does not need expansion. There were empty seats everywhere. I went to a game, a Marlins Rockies game, and that was in April, and there was literally no one there. It was the lowest crowd of the year at that time. Unfortunately, my historic game was beat out by another game. And this is not just here. Mike Trout plays in Anaheim, California. It is a baseball hotbed. All the suburbs out of LA, out of Northern California as well, they generate a lot of the American Major League Baseball base. And guess what? Empty seats to see Mike Trout and for the Angels. Not a lot of people showing up there. The Dodgers are inconsistent, and they're the biggest draw in LA. Out in NorCal, Northern California, they got tons of baseball prospects and up-and-coming players from the American base. And you know what? The A's are a ghost town. And as much as the Giants like to brag about attendance, they got empty seats. Fenway isn't even 100% sold out this year. And Fenway usually is 100% sold out. And you can check the numbers on ESPN.com, but they're not. My point is, the teams now aren't filling up the stadiums like they did 10, 15, 20 years ago when baseball was really at a new level. So why expand to that? And then let's talk about Montreal real quick. People say there needs to be a baseball team in Montreal, blah, 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 blah. Well, Montreal is smaller than Toronto, okay? So if Montreal is smaller than Toronto, while they love their hockey, both towns love their hockey, Toronto and Montreal, sell out games through good times and bad times. But Toronto can't fill up its stadium until the playoffs. And the fans are smart. The fans like, you know what? We're going to enjoy our warm weather. We're not going to show up for all these games until they make the playoffs, and those games count, and then they sell the place out. But Toronto is already fair weather, and they don't get a lot of people. There's empty seats everywhere. So if Toronto is a much larger city, much bigger than Quebec is, as far as the city of Montreal in the Quebec province, what do you think is going to happen if the Expos come back? Well, the first year, corporate people are going to buy tickets up. Fans are going to love it. Then what's going to happen? The year 2 is going to go down. Year 3 is going to go down. Year 4 is going to go down. You get 5 years into Montreal, and guess what? It's worse than Toronto. It's probably looking more like the Tampa Bay Rays or Baltimore Orioles, which are historically popular baseball towns. At least baseball in Tampa and Florida is huge, although they've never supported that crappy stadium. But historically, the Orioles used to sell out game after game after game in the mid 90s, and my dad experienced that. I experienced it in the 2000s when the crowds were going down. Long story short, a classic town like Baltimore doesn't have fans showing up. So I really think Montreal is a dumb idea for expansion. Maybe you relocate a team there, and you relocate, even though the Rays are building a new stadium, you relocate a team like that's doing bad in attendance, and you bring them up there. But even so, I think Montreal is a sham. Everyone's saying bring them back, bring them back. I think it's stupid because you know these fans ain't loyal. They go for the first year and that's it. Sorry, that was too long of a rant. I'm sure I put everyone to sleep, but hopefully you guys like this. I'll keep trying to record these, and if I get a good enough reaction, I'll make this a regular segment. Talk about all sorts of genres. I'm out.